Welcome to TradFi to DeFi, a community-driven podcast about crypto and decentralized finance. This is Tyler Sherwin, and I'm joined by John Tejan. Together, our goal is to teach, encourage, and inspire you to seize opportunities in this emerging world of DeFi. Let's get started. Hello and welcome again to another episode of the TradFi to DeFi podcast. This is Tyler, and I'm joined by my co-host, John. How are you doing today, John?
Good, and it's a Happy New Year 2 days in, so we left 2022 behind, and I think we'll review some of those fun and exciting things we did over the past year, and overall, it was a good year for us. Maybe not the market, but for us, it was a good year.
Yes, indeed. I want to try and consolidate some of our wins and remind ourselves of some of the good things, because although our portfolios might be down, the stock of TradFi to DeFi in our community is continually rising. And so I thought it would be a great idea, John, if we just had a conversation about, what are some of the greatest hits of 2022 that we accomplished? I know last year we published a retrospective of 2021. And I actually was looking at that retrospective, and in it, we talked about a few of our ambitions around organizing the community more and having more of a presence on social media. And I'm proud to say I think we've accomplished a lot of those goals. And so I thought it might be fun to kind of do a look back of, what have been some of the greatest hits from 2022, starting at the beginning of the year, going all the way through most recently, because there's been a lot of activity.
There has been, and one of the first things that, although I was not able to take part of it early in the year, was down at Miami at Permissionless, and you were able to meet up with a good portion of our core membership down there. So kind of relate your experience and what that really kind of meant for our community.
Yeah, it was amazing because it was the first in-person meetup that we've had, and we had just a lot of our community that was going to be there. I won't shout out names because I might miss a couple and I don't want to offend anybody, but really there was really our core contributors, folks who show up consistently on our Friday calls, people who come to our meetups, people who do a lot of stuff in our community and share a lot of information and education. I remember I got to meet several people who I had only met online, and I had that funny experience, John, which is, you connect the face to the name because you've only seen somebody's, strange internet name and you don't see them in person. And so what we did was we had a great breakfast, and we had a meetup with about 15 of us from the community. And it was really humbling to see that many people from around the world had come together to be in a place at Palm Beach. Now, of course, everyone was there for the permissionless conference, which was pretty interesting. The mood was very odd because it was right around the Terra Luna collapse. In fact, Do Kwon was scheduled, I believe, to be on one of the panels. And the collapse happened maybe 4 days prior to his panel. And so, the mood was very odd in the conference. But the mood with TradFi to DeFi was extremely optimistic and positive. In fact, we met up with Eric Voorhees and hung out with him and just went from one party to the next and just hung out with all of our friends and TradFi to DeFi community members. And we were just having a great time connecting and making real life connections that we had not really had just on an internet context. And from those conversations and meetups, some of our friends and the community have progressed with other community members towards employment in similar projects that they're working on. And so it was one of those things where, you might online meet some strangers and want to connect with them, but once you've met with them in person, there's that next level of trust that you establish, which is really exciting for building some amazing collaborations.
Yeah, it is, and meeting people in person and connecting with that community, which kind of what we're about is you're building, I know the idea of finding your own tribe and being tribal is kind of looked at negatively now because of politics and other things. But when you have a group of people that think like you do, especially in something, let's say for the greater population, as esoteric as cryptocurrency may seem to people, for people who are inside, and I don't mean inside investors, but just that's what they enjoy, it's good to meet up with people and talk to them. And when you talk to them, their eyes don't glaze over because they know what you're talking about. Whereas a family member might go, oh, he's talking about those crazy internet coins again, you know? So it's really a cool thing when you can get together with people that you really relate with.
We had those moments for sure where normally at the part of the conversation where I know most folks' eyes would have glazed over, the TradFi to DeFi community continued conversing, and we were out till pretty late at night. I know 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in some cases. That's just sort of what you do at those conferences. And so I was there as part of my day job working at a crypto embedded infrastructure provider. And that was just something that I was already in the area to do. And so it was just a perfect timing of events, and it was a real delight. And so to everyone who came to that, we loved seeing you. Thank you so much for coming to that. And please plan on coming to Permissionless in 2023 in Austin, Texas. So we'll definitely share some information about that so you guys can attend. And I think I will plan on being there as well. So we'd love to see you. If you missed that, we'll see you again at the next one. And, you know, community and connecting with different communities has always been something that we're passionate and excited about. And one way that we did this, John, recently in TradFi to DeFi this year was we did a collaboration with Decent DAO.
Mhm.
Can you talk a little bit about Decent DAO and what we did with them?
Well, you know, we were really trying to connect with kind of one of the core tenets of what we're all about, and that's transitioning people from traditional finance to decentralized finance. And Decent DAO, you know, by their name, and they are decent people, but that stands for decentralized, which it took me a bit to figure that out. But I'm slow. I'm a boomer, so you know, give me a break. But you know, we really talked about that employment situation and what to expect, and how to get from point A to point B. And I think, especially when we spoke with Tyler. You know, he was really instrumental in one of the podcasts that we did with him.
Taylor.
Taylor, Taylor,
Yeah.
Taylor. Yes, Taylor, Tyler. Pardon me.
So
Um,
Taylor's a member of TradFi to DeFi, actually. And
yes,
that's
yes,
how
he
we
is.
got this connection.
Yes, and you know, and during the early days, he was there, and he did make that transition. And he's a developer, and he kind of helped us understand how that process actually worked for him, which is not uncommon, and some pretty interesting things how he collaborates with other developers in the protocol he works with, and so that was a really good collaboration. I think it helped our community understand that, and I think for Decent DAO, they definitely got something out of it too, and knowing that we're there, you know, kind of working in the same vein as they are.
Yeah, in fact, we also joined their community as well and joined their Discord community for a conversation on Web 2 to Web 3. So similar to TradFi to DeFi. And you and I, John, shared some of our expertise from TradFi, talking
Hmm.
about ways in which the fintech industry has evolved over time. And then I know you shared some concepts around, you know, taking TradFi financial models and bringing them to DeFi. Because just because DeFi and crypto is a brand new space doesn't mean that you can reinvent the rules of finance, right? There are still
Right.
things that we can learn from TradFi in the context of DeFi.
Hmm. Absolutely, and it was good. I really enjoyed that. That was really our first foray with another protocol, you know, and it was a DAO, and they were kind of working in, you know, we've interacted with other protocols, but it's, you know, it might have been an AMM, it might have been another chain, but this is the first time we really connected with a group of people that was kind of in our wheelhouse, and I think it was really fruitful for us.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to future collaborations with Decent DAO because there's a lot there that we can do together. And that kind of leads me to the next one, which we did, which was similar to when we interviewed Taylor. We also had a similar community member reach out to us and connect regarding a different topic, which was actually Bitcoin and DeFi, two concepts which normally are very at odds with one another, or so we think. And that was our conversation with David Seroy. And that was one of my favorite podcast episodes, John. I know that David brought a lot of expertise from a recent article he wrote for Bitcoin Magazine, which we syndicated on our Medium as well. What was some of your favorite points from that conversation? What did you take away from that?
Well, he wasn't. What I liked about David is he has his point of view, one that I agree with, by the way. But you know, he's largely in the Bitcoin community. I mean, that's where all of his research and that's where he spent his time. But he's not afraid of offending the Bitcoin maxis or the people who are, you know, hardcore Bitcoin folks by saying some of the things he says. And conversely, you know, he has, some pointed, things to say about, other chains and DeFi and some of the problems that it has that we all understand, and we don't shy away from those problems. We don't try to cover them up or kind of minimize them. They're all important things. So he was very honest, very upfront, and it was refreshing to hear that point of view. Because I think the idea of, well, we won't get into a discussion of Bitcoin versus the rest of the world, but he actually is navigating a path forward to make Bitcoin what those who are totally behind the Bitcoin movement want it to be. It's kind of that they always talk about Bitcoin is here and it's going to get here. Well, he's actually connecting the dots with his thoughts and his research. And, it's very unique to hear somebody be able to say that and say it clearly and without reservation. So I appreciate his honesty and his level of interest.
I agreed. And I think the part that I liked a lot was this idea of hyper Bitcoinization, which is something that the Bitcoin community talks about, which is this future state of a Bitcoin based economy. And he tells the story of how you can't get there without Bitcoin backed stablecoins. And so, if that's interesting to you, I highly encourage everyone to take a look at that interview. It's a phenomenal overview of the space. And we definitely plan on having him again, I think, John. So, that definitely worth your time.
Absolutely.
We also had another partnership that I'm also pretty excited about, John, which was, we had a lot of partnerships this year, something that I want to continue in the new year for sure. And that was with DAO Punks in particular. And DAO Punks, for those that aren't familiar, is a community that's spun up out of the Bankless community. And it is an NFT based project where there are these 4 different characters you could mint, but you could only mint them if you were members of the Bankless DAO with the Bankless DAO token. And so several of our community members were members of Bankless. I know, John, you and I are as well. And we very proudly minted some of these NFTs. And, many, many months later, we find out about this amazing opportunity with a grant opportunity. John, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, they really, it was a grand opportunity that they were putting out to the community, and you basically had to put a proposal out there to basically describe how you are going to, what direction you're going in, what steps are you going to take, and it wasn't super specific about what you had to do. They really wanted to help people get to the next level, regardless of where they started at. I mean, there are some people uh, that won the grant besides ourselves that we did win. Hope I didn't give away the punchline there. We
Yeah,
did
so
win.
and
We did.
the grant was for specifically helping people transition into Web3, but also just any sort of crypto project
Yes.
you wanted to do. Yeah.
Yes, and it was for communities like ours. Some of them, I mean, there were individuals who were really starting to wanting to get into the space, and they had a game plan, and this is how they wanted to do it, and it convinced the people who voted, which were DAOPunk owners that own the NFTs, got to vote, and they granted, was it 3 or 5 that they
There were 3 winners out of, I
3
think it
winners?
was
Yeah.
17 or so applicants, and we actually won first place. I know
Yes.
for those
Yes.
counting at home, we actually got the most votes, and that was thanks to a lot of our TradFi to DeFi community members, but also it was from other DAO punks who saw our proposal and really liked it. And I want to give a shout out to Dustin, who put together our initial proposal of what TradFi to
Absolutely.
DeFi was looking to do. We are on a journey to become a bit of a think tank, and the idea was a think tank DAO. There's so many different ways that we can disseminate our information out there to the market. YouTube and podcasts and our Medium threads are all great ways to do that. But another way is to publish evergreen research that people can rely upon for amazing insights in the TradFi to DeFi space. And so we've begun that journey. The DAO Punks cohort, I think, John, was probably one of my favorite partnerships we've done. And we now have an amazing connection with them where we're also now co-posting different job postings in their community and in
Mhm.
ours. And so it's something for us to grow in the new year.
And the great thing about it, that provided a catalyst for our next point in discussion. It really, really brought the community together and really, in a period where because of the market, everybody's kind of like blasé about crypto because, everybody's been getting pounded and, the energy was kind of waning a little bit. And this really brought our community together. It was a catalyst for what we're actually actively doing this very minute, our community. And I'll let you describe
Yeah.
what our next step in is going to be.
TradFi to DeFi recently announced our very first protocol and user feedback service, which is an amazing development for our community. And I'll describe how it came about. At TradFi to DeFi, we've attracted a pool of diverse talent from CeFi executives to DeFi degens and full-time DAO contributors. We've had this group of folks come together, and oftentimes we'll get together on our calls and talk about mass adoption and bringing crypto to the next level, helping crypto reach the mainstream. But we know that that can't happen overnight, and that comes from education and expertise and learning, right? Well, we know that there's a lot of DeFi protocols, NFT projects, and DAOs that are getting started up that are trying to bridge that gap between their users and their product. And we believe that there's some actionable insight we can bring to the market with our community. And so, from brainstorming with our community, having a lot of conversations around what would this organization look like if we could really deliver our expertise in a way that is meaningful, we came up with this idea for protocol testing. And so we have launched a protocol testing service that any DeFi project, NFT project, or any other can take advantage of by signing up with TradFi to DeFi. It's a process where we bring our users and our community to your project prior to mainnet launch or even after mainnet launch, just at some point where you're looking to get some feedback from people who are experienced in DeFi, as well as people who are maybe more intermediate, as well as some who are maybe even beginner. We want to bring a broad and diverse talent pool to your project and test it out, get some feedback, see what's working, see what's not, maybe offer some expertise that could actually be actionable to you and make a difference in taking your project from an early stage project that doesn't hit the ground running to another project who can actually reach a meaningful level of adoption. And so we're getting our feet wet, John. This is our very first opportunity.
Yep.
And we actually signed our very first decentralized automated market maker launching on Kava network, and that is Gamut Exchange.
Yep. And I think, we bring all of those things you described, but I think, again, as I described crypto as kind of being a little esoteric for most people outside of the industry, is sometimes when you're working inside an industry and you're looking at your peers and you're going, what are they doing? What are they doing? We need to copy them. We need to try to figure it out. But you forget about the rest of the world that might be looking at your product, for the first time without all the experience of the rest of the industry. And I think that's really important in an adoption sense. Can a person off the street walk in, take a look at it and go, this is what I'm supposed to be doing? Kind of that approach that Apple had many years ago even with their computer products. It's very intuitive. You can figure it out by just looking at it. You don't have to read a big long list of instructions and how-tos. You can go, oh, I know what that button does. I think I can, I know that sounds very, very basic, but that has to be where we're going. And we can maybe talk about that going forward in 2023 and what that might mean, this whole idea of mass adoption. But, as we bring these different brains in to look at this, and some of them are fairly new to crypto. And they may have very limited experience with these protocols, and their feedback is particularly interesting to me. Somebody who's seen it all and done it all, yeah, they might be able to be very technical about their explanation, but we really want that kind of beginner, intermediate kind of view of things, because that's really what's going to make things for the industry and for that protocol.
I agree. And that's something that's very cool about the testers that are engaging with the Gamut Exchange right now. We began our testing period around 2.5, 3 weeks ago. And since that time, we've had a variety of our testers playing with the exchange on the test net. And I've seen their feedback come through, and I won't spoil it. We'll probably do a podcast episode with the founder of the Gamut Exchange later. And what I'm seeing is this broad swath of feedback from different types of users, which is extremely useful, extremely helpful, and actionable for DeFi protocols who want to get their products into the hands of users. And so I'm very excited about that project. This is by far my most favorite accomplishment this year that we had, John. And I think it's only possible because of some of the last two things I wanted to make sure we covered, which was we've had this consistent community calls and collaboration. We've had just this same crew of core contributors, but also a good array of contributors that come every Friday to our Friday calls at 3 p.m. And that has been something that has been really great to see during this year. Is even during some pretty down weeks, we still had people showing up to our weekly community calls.
Yeah, and this kind of goes beyond the scope of cryptocurrency is when you're building something, when you've got an idea and you want to get out there and you want to develop something, man, sometimes it doesn't feel like it's going to work, but you know what? Like they said, showing up is 90% of the battle. And just having that consistency, showing up, you know, there have been weeks that there's been two or three people on the call and you're just thinking it's like maybe nobody cares anymore. And then the next week there'll be 15 people. And then the things happen like Dow punks, and then the things happen like the protocol testing. So yeah, don't give up. We're 2 years into this, and we're going to continue to build. And 10 years from now, who knows what it's going to be. But if you're consistent, if you're honest about what you're doing, and it doesn't matter about what it is, it's just it kind of reinforces that just keep at it and keep working and keep building, and things will happen, and they have for us, fortunately.
They have. I mean, this year has been an inflection point for us by far, more so than I ever anticipated. And I couldn't agree more about the consistency of showing up, putting in effort. And I would encourage our community members, if you're wanting to be a part of this, just show up. It doesn't take much. We just want to have you as part of the conversation. And that goes to the one other point I wanted to mention, John, which is like, we've had these ideas, we have these conversations. We're trying to distribute those a little bit wider now. We're starting to cast a wider net, and that's being done through social media. And we've begun kind of a new strategy with our social media, and you may have noticed it if you've been following us for a while. We've had an uptick in our Twitter engagement. We've had a little bit of an uptick in our YouTube. And what we're doing is we're continuing our podcasts in long form, but now we're starting to cut them up into some shorts to also deliver in bite-sized little insights. And so if you're on our YouTube channel, you'll see we've had a lot of traffic on a lot of our shorts recently, and that's something we're going to continue to do. We want to really distribute the message of TradFi to DeFi so that everyone can be a part of it. And, John, we had broken down our audience into maybe four main segments, and we can talk about this in depth on another episode, but really we're kind of targeting these four groups of people. Number one is crypto novices. Number two is crypto hobbyists. Number three is aspiring crypto professionals. And number four is crypto professionals. Could you maybe talk about that journey, John, from one through the others?
Yeah, we want to track the novice, the person who's just experiencing the first time, and this may be somebody who is only has TradFi experience and they're heard about crypto and they want to find out what it's about. Well, we'll help you. I mean, it's something we enjoy doing and introducing them to how the whole industry works. We really have a passion for those people and mass adoption, and that's the beginning of the funnel where everybody starts out, right? Then there's the hobbyist, which is probably, that's me. That's my character because, I'm later in life. I'm not going to change my career at this point, but I'm really passionate about the industry and I've spent a couple years really digging into it and believe in it. And then there's the aspiring professional, which is the person who's ready to go. I'm ready to get my first job in crypto. I have a resume of work in traditional finance. And we want to help those people and get their resumes up to speed and give them, some interview prep and because other people have been through the process, and that's an important segment as well. And then there's the professional who, we rely on some of those professionals for just great insight, great experience, and it really rounds out our whole community. And I can't say how proud I am of those people that really are helping us out as well.
Yeah, TradFi to DeFi was structured around sort of my own experience from going from TradFi to
Mhm.
DeFi and becoming a crypto professional, somebody who works in the industry full time. And to see
So
others go on that.
you've actually been in all four of those different roles.
Yeah, I sure have. I worked my way through them. And that was something that started from the beginning of the creation of TradFi to DeFi. I knew
Mhm.
that I needed to develop a network if I wanted to be successful in this industry. And what better way to do that than to help others? And this is something that's core to my philosophy, John, which is I try to, you know, create canvases for others to paint on. And that is an idea that I think we can try to bring with TradFi to DeFi. Create a place where people can come and contribute, and you'll find that it's very successful. And I think that's been the story of TradFi to DeFi from the start. And if I were to look forward into the future of 2023, I imagine it will be another year of even more steep inflections of upward growth. What are you most looking forward to in the new year, John?
Yeah, and it's not, the ideas in my head aren't any different than they have been, but I really see an opportunity this year with gaining adoption and getting people in the door and explaining things to them, and really, we want our community to move forward with this protocol testing. We have a lot of other ideas we want to do, but we just need regular people to come and show up and participate, and at whatever level you're at, because that's kind of how this whole community works. It's not a single threaded, bunch of, big brain people that get in a room and talk about things over everybody's head. We accept everybody. We want everybody to be part of this community because we all move forward together, and I'm really looking forward to that. And the finish of 2022, if that's any indication, we're really going to have a great year.
I agree, John. And as leaders of the TradFi to DeFi community, we want to inspire that sort of contribution and development from our community members. And so if there's a place that you see you can contribute in 2023, we'd love to hear about it. And so if you're watching this on YouTube or if you're listening to this on the podcast, we'll put a space for you to contribute and add a question or answer of ways that you might want to join us. I would highly encourage you to join our Discord, where you can see where everything's happening. We are improving our presence on LinkedIn as well. There's a lot that we're doing to really just try to get the message out there. And if any of this resonates with you, we'd love to have you as part of this community. I think that's what I'm most excited about, John, in the new year, is actually meeting some new faces. There's some amazing folks who have been core contributors at TradFi to DeFi for a long time, and they're constantly onboarding new people into the community. And sometimes it's those introductions that I'm even most excited about, because I know, oh, if you're a friend of Daniel's, then I really like you, right? Or, oh, you're a friend of John's? Of course. Welcome to TradFi to DeFi, right? And as you attract better and more exciting and interesting people, you continue to bring in more of the same. And so that's probably what I'm most excited about in the new year, John. I think 2023 is probably going to be our best year yet.
Definitely stay tuned. For
Agreed.
sure.
Stay tuned for sure. Well, any last closing thoughts, John, before we wrap it up today?
No, I'm really happy with way things have gone, and the future does look bright.
Yes, indeed. You need sunglasses. I don't have sunglasses here, otherwise I'd put them on. But yeah, the future for TradFi to DeFi is going to be very bright indeed, and we can't wait to have you all on that journey with us. So, signing off for TradFi to DeFi podcast, this is Tyler and John. Thanks so much for being here, guys.